In the era of inclusion, right path towards sustainable development, focused initiatives for the welfare of disabled persons are essential. And it emphasizes the need for strengthening disability in the country. In the era of inclusion, we need to throw some light on the rights of the persons with disability. And in order to attain equality in society, we need to have equity for the persons with disability. Hence, we are going to have an extensive look on the most discussed policy, that is RPWD Act 2016. Hello everyone, this is Priya Pawar from Army Institute of Education, Greater Noida, a budding special educator. And today we will try to understand the rights of persons with disability, keeping the RPWD Act 2016 as the cornerstone. What comes to your mind when you see these happy faces on the screen? Don't you think it's the right of every individual to have access to all the opportunities, dignity, respect, and independence of their own? Indeed, they deserve, because a flower's beauty can only be seen when it's allowed to bloom. So today we are going to study the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016. I will be covering the statistics, convention, features of the Act, comparison of the RPWD Act with the previous acts, the disabilities under the Act, and conclusion. So let's proceed. The RPWD Act 2016 falls under the Ministry of Law and Justice. After a number of consultations, it was notified on December 28, 2016 after receiving the Presidential Assent. It was passed by both the houses of the Parliament. There is always a scope for improvement, and same applies when an act is formulated. To have a comprehensive act, stepping stones are necessary. So, the RPWD Act was not the first act passed for the persons with disability. Earlier, the PWD Act 1995 was passed, which stated the equal opportunities, protection of rights, and full participation for the PWDs. But it consisted only 7 disabilities. Later, a bill was drafted and introduced in the year 2011. And in the Parliament on 7 February 2014, the Act was introduced and passed by Rajya Sabha on 14 December 2016. Finally, Lok Sabha passed the bill on 16th December 2016, and after getting approval by President of India, it became law and government and notified this bill on 29 December 2016. Before getting into the details of RPWD Act 2016, we need to understand why this act was passed. It was an act to give effect to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities and for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto. It replaces the RPWD Act 1995 because it wasn't enough to support the UNCRPD 2006. Also, there were a number of loopholes. let me give you a basic idea of the statistics of the persons with disabilities in the world as well as in our country. More than 1 billion persons in the world, that is almost 15% of the world's population, are the persons with disabilities, and as per the census of 2011, in India, out of 121 crore population, about 2.68 crore persons are disabled, which is 2.21% of the total population. That was the census of 2011. Today, we are in 2021. Yes, the population would definitely differ. The convention is based on various aspects like respect for inherent dignity, individual autonomy, including the freedom to make one's own choices and independence of persons, non-discrimination, full and effective participation and inclusion in society, respect for difference and acceptance of persons with disabilities as part of the human diversity and humanity, equality of opportunity, accessibility, equality between men and women, respect for the evolving capacities of children with disabilities, and respect for the right of children with disabilities to preserve their identities. Now let's see the salient features of the Act. The responsibility lies with the government to take effective measures to ensure that the persons with disabilities enjoy their rights equally with others. Disability has been defined based on evolving and dynamic concept. There are a number of disabilities falling under this Act. Number 1 is physical disability, under which a subcategory called locomotor disability, and under which leprosy cured person, cerebral palsy, dwarfism, muscular dystrophy, acid attack victims are included. The second subdivision under the physical disability is visual impairment, which is further divided into blindness and low vision. The third subdivision is hearing impairment. It also has two further divisions. One is deaf and the second is hard of hearing. The fourth subdivision is speech and language disability. The next type of disability is intellectual disability, and it has specific learning disabilities and autism spectrum disorder. The other two types of disabilities are mental behavior, also known as the mental illness, and the other is divided into three subparts, that is chronic neurological conditions, blood disorder, and multiple disabilities. The chronic neurological conditions such as the multiple sclerosis and Parkinson's disease, and the blood disorders like hemophilia, thalassemia, sickle cell disease. And next is the multiple disabilities. Let's discuss other provisions of this Act. There are an additional benefits provided for the persons with benchmark disabilities and those who need high support. As we know that there is a mention of free and compulsory education of every child from the age group of 6 to 14 years in the RTE 2009, the same way in RPWD Act 2016, every child with benchmark disability between the age group of 6 to 18 years shall have the right to free education. To ensure accessibility, infrastructural changes were given importance both in public and private, and providing 5% reservation in government and aided higher educational institutions. National and state funds are provided for financial support, and the Act provides for penalties for offences committed against persons with disabilities. That is, a strict action will be taken for offences committed against the PWDs. We have seen all the important provisions of this Act. Now we come to an interesting part of the video. That is, what is the difference between RPWD Act 2016 and previously ratified acts for PWDs? As we can clearly see that the disabilities mentioned are 21, which were only 7 in PWD Act 1995. We no longer use the term mental retardation. Instead, it is termed as intellectual disability. Mental illness has been elaborated, which says a substantial disorder of thinking, mood, perception, orientation or memory that grossly impairs judgment, behavior, and capacity to recognize reality or ability to meet the ordinary demands of life, but does not include retardation, which is a condition of arrested or incomplete development of mind of a person, especially characterized by subnormality of intelligence. Any person who has at least 40% of disability is considered as benchmark disability and can avail facilities provided by the government. PWD having high support needs are those who are certified as such under Section 58(2) of this Act, which we will be seeing subsequently. Now let's see Section 58(2). On receipt of an application under subsection 1, the certifying authority shall assess the disability of the concerned person in accordance with relevant guidelines notified under Section 56, and shall, after such assessment as the case may be, A. Issue a certificate of disability to such person in such form as may be prescribed by the central government, and B. Inform him or her in writing that he or she has no specified disability. Some more differences include the acid attack victims and Parkinson's disease in the disability category, disabled-friendly access to all public buildings, hospitals, modes of transport and polling stations, etc. And of course, the job reservations have increased from 3% to 4%. The persons with disabilities can avail free education from 6 to 18 years of age, and the national and state level funds will provide financial support to the PWDs. Social code to be in every district and to ensure no injustice and violation of the Act. Now let's have an overlook at the 21 disabilities mentioned in this Act. Number 1, blindness. Number 2, low vision. Number 3, leprosy cured persons. Number 4, hearing impairment. Number 5, locomotor disability. Number 6, dwarfism. Number 7, intellectual disability. Number 8, mental illness. Number 9, autism spectrum disorder. Number 10, cerebral palsy. Number 11, muscular dystrophy. Number 12, chronic neurological conditions. Number 13, specific learning disabilities. Number 14, multiple sclerosis. Number 15, speech and language disability. Number 16, thalassemia. Number 17, hemophilia. Number 18, sickle cell disease. Number 19, multiple disabilities including deaf and blindness. Number 20, acid attack victims. And number 21, Parkinson's disease. Now let's sum up the session. The RPWD Act was enacted in December 2016. It promotes and protects the rights and dignity of people with disabilities in various aspects of life like educational, social, legal, economic, cultural, and political. It applies to government, non-government, and private organizations. It has mandates and timelines for establishments to ensure accessibility of infrastructure and services. These are some of the resources from where I have collected the information. Hope this video enhanced your knowledge and you enjoyed learning. Stay safe and keep studying. Thank you.